Hi, my name is Susan Onalik. I'm originally from Makowik-Nunat-Siawut. I am Inuit, my background. I'm very proud Inuit mother of a beautiful daughter, Jada, her name is, and her background is actually part Innu, part Inuit, and part Mi'kmaq, so I call her my rainbow child. The St. John's Native Friendship Centre was the first point of contact for myself and my daughter when I moved down from Labrador many years ago. My daughter was just a baby, and as soon as I walked into the door, it didn't feel as though I was in the middle of St. John's. I felt like I was walking, into a neighbor's house in a community feel, and that's what they provided, that sense of community in a very highly populated area. It was something familiar to me, and it was something that I really wanted my daughter to feel as well. And fortunately, she's grown here. It's like her second home. She before Turtle Island opened, before the new space opened a while ago, my daughter would get picked up from school, and while I was at work, and she would come in and she would kick off her shoes as though she was home. And it provides that sense of community and that at home feel when it's like home away from home. My daughter now, she goes to the Turtle Island after school care, and she gets picked up from school, and then she, along with other children her age and other ages, and they'll go there and they'll do different programs and activities until she's ready to be picked up. Incorporating Indigenous identity into the programs that are there. Like I said, my daughter is 3-part Indigenous, so the beauty of an organization that develops programs that can touch on every aspect of her identity is such a huge benefit, because she gets to see the beauty of all the different groups that she identifies as, and she gets to be a part of that and see that and grow with that. So yeah, it's the Indigenous education that she receives at Turtle Island, and beyond that. Turtle Island, even though it's something that she gets picked up from 2:30 in the afternoon and she's there until 5:30, that those few hours a day, it's an opportunity for her to be a part of her culture, and in a small way that she wouldn't get anywhere else in the city. And that's very important to me as a mom, because it takes a community really to raise a child, that saying goes, but it's true, because when you you move away from home, you move away from support, you don't have that community feel. But Turtle Island thankfully offers a piece of that, and there's opportunities then that come up. This past weekend we got to take part in a culture camp where we actually got to sleep out in the tent, and as soon as you walk into the tent and you're surrounded by the smells and the sounds and just that feel, it's like you're stepping back home on your land, and that's something that my daughter will continue to be able to understand, even though we're away from her traditional land. And they incorporate learning opportunities for my daughter through various workshops. She's got to take part in some hoop dancing, for instance. That's very much traditionally not a part of any of her identities, but it's a part of Cree. So she's gotten opportunities to look beyond just her groups and her identities, to see what else is there and what beauty lies in it. And she's took up hoop dancing, and it builds her confidence tenfold. she's a visible minority, so there's often the conversation that I have to have with her in regards to looking different, and being proud of that, and so programs that are available, that can help her nurture those opportunities really helps her, I think, become more proud of who she is and identifies with other people, who share those cultural identities. One day she was getting bullied in school because she was brown, and it was something about there's nothing wrong with your skin color, but just by me telling her, and trying to build up her confidence, it wasn't enough. So the St. John's Native Friendship Center in Turtle Island provided an opportunity then, for other people who she looked up to besides me, who she valued and who she connected to, and found similarities in herself into other people that she's been fortunate enough to be surrounded by. But now she embraces it. She's proud of the color of her skin. She's proud of, the things that she does. She gets really excited when there's, certain subjects in school where she gets to go in and show off her jingle dress dancing. She gets to tell those stories about why the jingles are important. And that's a part of her culture that isn't shared with me. So I wouldn't necessarily be able to teach that as her mother. But I teach her, the Inuit, what I know. And, so it's super well-rounded, and it's holistic, and it's something that wouldn't be able to be offered anywhere else. I try so hard to incorporate and learn myself what it means, but it's you just can't do it alone, and you need that support, and Turtle Island provides that for her. When I think of Indigenous education, I think of a foundation. I think of a foundation that starts on the land. One thing I reiterate to my daughter, and anybody else really, is when I look at a Inukshuk, and you start with a foundation, and there's a purpose, there's components that you need in order to build a good system, and each one of those rocks in a Inukshuk could represent something. Sure, you need to incorporate knowledge on how to navigate an urban setting. You need a structured K to 12 and then a post-secondary education. But what those things are missing is that they're just one arm, and you cannot build an Inukshuk with just one component. It comes from somewhere, and if you take one of those things away, this Inukshuk would never stand. So when I talk to my daughter about the importance of Indigenous education, and I have to remind myself about it as well, is that there's beauty in traditional knowledge that needs to be introduced into any educational system in whatever grade, because there's so much beauty and strength in that. And that Inukshuk could never stand. You can never be whole without it. And I really love what some of the educators in the north have done. The Inuit communities, I believe in Nunavut, and there's this beautiful story about an igloo, and again, it's about a foundation and the building blocks of an igloo and how they can represent each grade in an educational system, and how that educational system incorporates community, how that incorporates food, how that incorporates traditional knowledge in seasonal hunting, and they're skills that you'll never learn in school. And it's skills that require everybody from elders to infants, and it's once those building blocks are formed, you have a inukshuk that's so strong that any learner, new learner, because we're always learning, could stand on that and have a positive future and look into their future in a very positive way by incorporating all those blocks. So when I hear of stories like that, it really resonates with me, and even the way that story is told really helps shape my understanding, and then I can bring that back to my daughter and help her build her inukshuk strong, and she'll be able to have a bright future. Language is being lost at a really fast rate. I would love to see a program where maybe a buddy system where we can look at partnering my daughter with another Indigenous student who's maybe a little bit older. And instead of a reading buddy, it could be a cultural buddy, where they come in and they look at language and they read, books and learn together and grow in that way. I think that would be something that I would love to see available here in the city. And I'm sure with, enough work that's happening and the amount of understanding of how traditional languages need to be kept, I think that certain, maybe not that type of program, but something similar, I'm sure will develop and it will flourish. And not only my daughter could take part in it, but so could I, because again, we're always learning. We're just on different stages of learning. And and incorporating elders, elders are my favorite people, and and that reiterates within my daughter as well, and it's definitely something that she's she's touched on, and making sure that elders are a part of her circle more often, and having those conversations that just naturally occur while doing something traditional, and in order to have those meaningful conversations, and it's usually in a setting that is conducive to, I guess that's the right word, but it's happening in an environment that is not only culturally safe but culturally appropriate, and more of that.